I remember sitting in a classroom full of people, sitting amongst my friend group and feeling unwanted and lonely. Standing face to face with loneliness taught me that there's a huge difference between being alone and being lonely. Back then, I was always surrounded by people and never felt more lonely. And now, I spend most of my time working from home and I enjoy the time that I spend alone. And today, I will reveal everything that helped me with this transition. Loneliness can make you feel isolated in a crowd, and back in college, looking at my friend group, seeing everyone getting along just fine, made me believe that I was going through it all alone. There was no one to support me back then, and I know that you're dealing with something similar right now. I know that you're feeling lonely. I mean, you're here watching this video, right? And I'm here to support you, and let me start by saying it will be alright and you're gonna be okay. Let's start with bursting the myth that the cause for loneliness is being alone. Loneliness is a feeling. Just like you can feel happy when sitting in a room full of people, you can feel lonely even when surrounded by a crowd and even when you have people doting over you.
I know how it feels to be alone. I know how it feels to be around people and feel alone. Like, I'll be around a million people and I'll still feel alone.
So why do we feel lonely despite having loads of friends and millions of fans? Because loneliness has nothing to do with the number of people in your life and has everything to do with feeling unwanted and disconnected with the people that matter to you. And since we're all different, we're our own little snowflakes, rare and unique, the reasons behind our loneliness could also be different for each one of us. Let's talk about them. Reason number 1, you don't like you.
I just feel very lonely and I don't like being left alone. I like to be with crowds. I can't socialize with them. But I get very scared when I'm alone.
Are you scared of yourself sometimes?
I'm scared of being alone with myself, yes. I get scared of myself. And I don't like myself, I think, too much.
The feelings of loneliness that I think we all, even you, sometimes have experienced. I like my own company for a while, a bit. And then at some point, even I'll get annoyed with myself. There's something really lonely about that, and a bit frightening for one who is not at peace with themselves.
When you have poor self-esteem, like I did, you don't like yourself as much, and so you avoid spending time with yourself as much as you can. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I was bullied a lot in school for looking ugly, which basically damaged my self-worth to a point where I hated myself so much that I was ready to be with anyone but myself. So I entered college with the intention of making as many friends as I could to avoid being alone. This is the reason why I stuck with this one friend group for such a long time, even when they made me feel unwanted. In fact, I actually made the stupid decision of not changing my branch to computer science because of the fear of being alone. The reason that I gave myself for not taking this opportunity was that if my friends who already know me don't want me, then if I move to a new class, nobody would want me for sure because they don't know me. And what's funny is that after I overcame my feelings of loneliness, I actually ended up being close friends with people from the computer science department itself, even when I was not in their class. Now I regret that decision because I could have made more friends, or at the very least, I could have spent a lot more time with those close friends and made a lot more good memories. But hey, I was meant to learn a lesson and develop my character, so I had to make that stupid decision, right? By the way, have you made any decisions because of loneliness that you regret? Let me know in the comments. Reason number 2, you're with the wrong people. You know how when you first start college, the whole class starts getting divided into different groups? In the first year of college, everything was going great in my group. I was very happy. We used to play hide and seek, blind man's buff, and I spy. Fun fact, Indian kids call it I spies. But then as we moved past the small talk and started getting to know each other better and started having deep conversations, some people started dating, some became best friends, while gradually I realized that I was casted out. Everyone in the group was getting along great and I started feeling unwanted. I felt like I didn't fit in, and eventually I started asking myself, what's wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me because everyone else is getting along fine. Asking this caused more harm to my already damaged self-worth, which led me to hustle for my own self-worth. I started going out of my way to show up and be there for them. I did as much as I could to prove that I'm worth showing up for, and nothing happened. I still felt unwanted by my friend group. I'm not saying that they were bad people, they were just not the right people, not right for me. We all operate at different wavelengths, so if I was operating at this frequency, then they were here, and obviously we were no match for each other. But at the time, I continued spending time with them because I was afraid of being alone. I was afraid of being with myself. I failed to see that spending time with them was what was making me feel lonely. I felt more drained spending time with them compared to when I would be on my own because they were not my tribe. Reason number 3, you feel disconnected. You might be someone who knows a lot of people, you might party a lot or go to events or have many social media friends or fans, but you still feel lonely. That's because all these connections are only surface level. All these connections are limited to attending events or posting stories. Despite spending time together, you never have deep conversations. And there are 2 reasons for this. One is that you're with the wrong people. The other is that you are afraid of being vulnerable. And I totally understand this fear. I mean, being bullied in school and being ignored by friends in college was pretty traumatic for me, and I closed myself off from everyone. So no judgments here. Reason number 4, you feel unheard and misunderstood, especially by people that mean the most to you. And I'm talking specifically about feeling unheard and misunderstood by your parents. This will apply to everyone, especially to the Indian kids in my opinion. Whether it's small decisions like wanting to have more fun or huge decisions like career choices or marriage, Indian parents are not taught to hear their child's opinion. I'm not blaming the parents because this was either taught to them or they learned it by themselves by observing their parents. They make decisions for their kids by considering what would the society say, what would the neighbors think. They would even think about the pizza delivery guy and won't consider even for a single second what their kid thinks or wants. I mean, I can bet that unmarried people about 25 years of age have their parents counseling them to get married even when they don't want to because what would the relatives say? And this is the worst kind of loneliness because you can go out and make new friends, but what would you do with parents? You can go out and make new parents. And lastly, reason number 5, you feel unwanted. If you feel lonely in a crowd, it's not because there's something wrong with you, it's because you feel unwanted. So even when you change cities or move to a new school, you feel lonely, not because there's no one around you, it's because you feel unwanted by the many people around you. When you go to a new school, you feel lonely because you see children in groups of their own. They're perfectly happy within their groups and you feel as if you are not wanted by them. You don't feel like they would want to include you in their group or befriend you because they seem to be content with their existing group without you. Something similar happened to me. When I moved to Bangalore for my job, I arrived 2 days late. People already checked into the guest house 2 days before me and small groups were already formed. So when I reached there, it looked like nobody wanted me because they were already comfortable within their own group. Things became worse for me because I saw pretty girls all around me and my insecurity hit me in the face so badly that I spent the first day all alone in bed. I didn't even go out to eat with the other kids. All I could think about was they all look so happy in their groups, plus there are so many pretty girls. Why would anyone want to be my friend? I felt unwanted, and that is what loneliness is all about. And this doesn't just extend to the people around you, but also to you yourself. Not only does it seem like you're unwanted by the other people, but you also are unwanted by you. You don't want to be in your company alone. You don't want to be by yourself. And ironically, the very fact that you don't want yourself is the very reason that you seem unwanted by other people. And I say you seem unwanted by people because you're not actually unwanted. It just seems like you are because of any of the reasons that we talked about. But there are things that you can do to overcome loneliness for good. And just like everything in the self-development realm, the things that I'm about to share to overcome loneliness will be simple but not easy. You might not feel like doing them at all, but you'll have to parent yourself and do them anyway. Number 1, become your own best friend. I always say no one will love you if you don't love yourself. When you don't love yourself, you accept any kind of behavior, no matter how bad, just like I did back in college. I settled for less than bare minimum, to be honest. I mean, one of the person in my group actually said that he didn't even like looking at me and had to endure spending time with me just because I was a part of the group. And I still continued being a part of the group for a while after learning that. I cringe even thinking about that. But now, if I was in a similar situation, I would not spend even a single second with someone who would say something like that, even if it meant having no friends for 4 years. Although that can't happen now. You see, society is training us to do the least amount of work to get anything. You don't even have to get up to turn off the lights. You clap and the lights will be off. And subconsciously, it is making people not want to put in efforts in relationships as well. So if you accept the bare minimum and settle, then that's what you would keep getting. I mean, why would someone make plans to hang out with you when you're perfectly happy with them replying to your texts when you text them first? But when you become your own best friend, you won't let anyone treat you less than what you deserve, and you deserve efforts. Think of it this way. Would you let anyone treat your best friend badly? What would you say when your best friend says that she doesn't look good or when she doubts herself? You tell her that she's the best and you won't let her say anything wrong about herself. But when it comes to yourself, you demean yourself all the time. Do you realize that the one person that you will be spending every single second of your life with is you? Yes, you have your parents, friends, partner, and kids, but you will truly ever spend every single second of your entire life with just you. So instead of being a mean girl to yourself, criticizing everything you do, be your best friend. Be someone who's always there for you, someone who's trying to make you happy, is always loyal, and is your biggest cheerleader and support. Just imagine how magical life would be if you became your biggest well-wisher. Every decision that you would make would be to improve your life, to make yourself happy and feel valued. And when you're content with your own company, any traces of loneliness would disappear. In fact, you will see the time you spend alone as opportunities to do something meaningful for you. Number 2, fix the root cause. It's very evident from my story that the root cause for my loneliness was my insecurity. I always felt that I was not pretty enough to be talked to or be friends with. So when everyone left me after the end of 3rd year of college, I grabbed the opportunity, and during the 2 months of summer vacation, I spent time learning about myself. I started exploring what I did and didn't like. I spent time on improving myself, whether that was interning at a firm, learning new recipes, or practicing how to apply a winged eyeliner. I worked on my physical appearance to fight with my insecurity. I started doing Zumba at home. I started eating healthy. I started learning styling the clothes I already owned better. I got my hair permanently straightened and started getting my eyebrows done. I did everything to fix my insecurity as much as I could in those 2 months, and it worked wonderfully. When I went back to college, I had a different attitude altogether. I felt so confident and didn't care about who didn't want to be with me. I started talking to more people, made a lot of new friends, and had a great time every day. I was never bored or lonely. I enjoyed the time I spent alone in my car while driving to college as much as I did when accompanied by my friend. When driving alone, I would play my favorite song, sing my heart out, and even dance a little bit. Now you might say that I should love myself regardless of what I look like, and I do, but I first had to work on beating my insecurity and cultivate self-love, and I could do it by proving to myself that I am pretty. And now, regardless of whether I dress up or look like a potato, I love myself and I enjoy the time that I spend alone. And this takes me to the next solution, number 3, have fun with yourself. When was the last time that you spent time with yourself? When was the last time that you were genuinely kind to yourself? And I don't mean shifting from the laptop screen at work to your mobile or TV screen at home. I don't mean passing out after a long day of work. If your fun time includes scrolling on your phone or spending time in front of another screen, then you're not spending quality time alone. Time that you spend with yourself and your thoughts for relaxation and just being present. We are so used to living in the next moment. What am I doing next? Who do I have to text? where am I going this weekend, that we forget to live in the present. Even when we are doing tasks, we are constantly working how many tasks are left in our to-do list or what's the next task. So stop, take a deep breath, and focus on the moment at hand. You can't get to the next task unless you complete the task in hand, so you might as well be present and focus on what you're doing. And when it comes to having fun with yourself, again, be present and spend quality time alone. So have a bubble bath instead of a quick shower, cozy up with your favorite book, and spend time on activities that you enjoy. Number 4, get yourself a real friend. We're living in a time where being social is so much easier, aka social media, but we're not using it the way it was invented to be used, to socialize. Instead, social media is now a place that gives birth to comparison, insecurities, and a lack mindset. We just hop on these platforms not to engage, connect, or socialize, but to monitor other people's lives. We see their highlight reels and then we compare our lives to those highlight reels and feel miserable and lonely. We see them having fun with their friends or going on trips with them and feel the lack of such experiences in our lives. That's all we do on social media. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if you log into your social media profiles to connect with your friends from school or college or to make new friends. I can bet you don't. Truth be told, there's nothing social about social media. So get off those platforms and go out into the real world. Talk to new people, and if you succeed in making just one friend, just one, with who you can open up and have deep conversations and be vulnerable, trust me, that would make all the difference and you won't feel lonely anymore. Now this may seem unfair, but you might have to be the brave one and initiate deep conversations, because just like you, the other person might not be comfortable being vulnerable, or they might not be taught to talk about their feelings. So when you initiate and ask the other person deep questions and have a meaningful conversation, you will feel so much more connected. Number 5, get out of the wrong room. Just like me, you could be with the wrong group of people. When you're with people who are not at the same wavelength as you, you would never be able to connect with them and create deeper bonds. Now I know that I'm talking about Indian families a lot today, but every Indian kid would agree that the common wrong room for us is where all our relatives are sitting. So find yourself rooms where you can meet people with similar interests. Go join a book club or take tennis lessons or go to the gym. You'll get an amazing body and great friends. Just don't make the mistake of trying to please people in the wrong room. Instead, change the room and find your tribe. Number 6, go back to your childhood. Go back to the time when you were free from all your insecurities, your childhood. Recall all the things that you loved doing as a kid and do those things. Trust me, you'll feel the same spark and joy that you felt as a kid. And when you're in that happy zone, it is impossible for you to feel low and lonely. Personally, I love watching movies and series that I loved as a kid. Series like Shararat, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place, and all the Disney movies, especially the classic animated ones. You can check out this video where I share 10 of my all-time favorite Disney movies, but my absolute favorite one is Beauty and the Beast. Isn't it ironic that my favorite movie is one that teaches that love is appreciating people for who they are on the inside, and it is above and beyond the superficial things like physical appearance, yet my biggest insecurity is my physical appearance. Human mind. Number 7, stop chasing and start attracting. We talked about how feeling unwanted by people makes you feel less worthy. And this happens because we attach our self-worth with our connections with the other people. So we keep chasing people in order to feel worthy. We try to fill the void with validation from other people. We try to mold ourselves a certain way to please the people around us, hoping to feel wanted. And you and I both know that never works. In fact, it worsens our feelings of loneliness. The only real solution is to be authentically you. Be who you truly are and not some version of who you feel someone else would like. Dress the way you want and not to impress someone else. Do the things that you love and romanticize your life. Instead of seeking validation from others, give it to yourself. When you do all these things and stop chasing other people, you will set higher standards for yourself you will stop settling, and you will attract the right people. You can never chase the right people or anyone for that matter into your life, but you can attract them. And this is a reminder for myself too. When you treat yourself the way you want to be treated by others, you become content and stop needing other people. And not just that, when you treat yourself right, you train the people around you to treat yourself the same way. I mean, have you seen those girls who act like princesses and all the other guys are treating them like one too? Or the girl, aka me, who is hyper independent and does everything by herself to the point of exhausting herself. Everyone goes to herself to get her to do things for them. So get this straight, you train people to treat you the way you treat yourself. So when you're criticizing yourself, not taking care of yourself, not giving yourself the importance you deserve, people will follow suit. But when you treat yourself like the goddess that you are, guess what will happen? Number 8. Change your story. We all have inner conversations with ourselves, and through these inner conversations, we create a story, and your life will reflect the story that you have created for yourself. Like my story was, nobody likes me, nobody wants to be my friend. But unless you change the story, nothing will change, because everything starts with your thoughts. You cannot do anything without first having a thought about it, and this is probably the most difficult thing to do out of everything that I shared today, but also the most important. It's difficult because a story is already created, and when you try to change it, your mind will resist because the old story is familiar, and your mind hates anything unfamiliar. But you gotta keep repeating the new story. Soon, this new story will start becoming familiar to your brain, and it will start accepting the new story. I know that it sounds a lot easier than done, but I already told you that the things you have to do to improve your life are always simple, but never easy. Do what you need to do anyway. Number 9, focus on what you can control. If the reason of your loneliness is being misunderstood or unheard by your parents or family, then the only thing that you can do is focus on what you can control. You cannot control what they say, but you can control how you respond and react. So whenever I'm with my family and they say something that triggers me, this is what I do. First, I remind myself that this is just temporary. They can say whatever they want only until the event lasts or only until the call ends. Once I come back home from the event or once we hang up, this would be over and I would have the rest of my day and many days until I speak with them again. Second, they don't have any control over my life. They can only tell me how they think I should live my life, but ultimately it's my life, and whatever I decide will happen, whether that's giving into their advice or hearing what they say and doing what I want anyway. And third, I remember Einstein. So I read this somewhere that during an interview, Einstein was asked, "What's the secret to happiness?" He said, "It is never to argue with stupid people." To this, the interviewer said, "I don't agree with you." And Einstein replied, "You're right." So I keep reminding myself to just agree with what they are saying and never to argue. Now, I would acknowledge that this is much easier to do with relatives, and fortunately my parents are always at my side. It's just the relatives that I have to handle. But if the cause of your loneliness is coming from your parents, then you would have to just toughen up and cut back on the time you spend arguing with them, and in some cases, you would have to cut back on the time you spend talking to them. The rest of the time, focus on yourself and apply all the solutions that I shared with you. Also, I would suggest getting professional help to help you with this, because I understand that this situation can be pretty stressful and depressing. Now I know that up until now I have talked so much about spending time alone and doing everything for yourself that it might appear that I'm against being with other people. But don't get me wrong, having someone to share your exciting news with, or to have someone you love just hold you without even saying anything when you're feeling down, is absolutely amazing. Everyone deserves to have friends like friends, or to have your version of an ideal partner, whether that's Dwan Joshua or Christian Grey. But all of that happens when you first become your own best friend. Otherwise, you just end up in codependent relationships, which is painful for you and suffocating for the other person. When you're content with yourself, when you're happy with your own company, you don't depend on others for your happiness. You'll be happy regardless of whether or not someone stays or leaves. Yes, you will miss people if you have a breakup or if there's a falling out with a friend. You will feel miserable, you will feel the void of their absence, and you will miss them. But over time, you will accept that they no longer want to be a part of your life, and you will go on with your life with this acceptance and being content with your own company until you meet someone else or until people come back as better versions of themselves, instead of continue to staying miserable and not being able to be happy and then chasing someone new to fill that void because your happiness is attached and dependent upon other people. There will be no void to fill when you give yourself everything you need. You will stop needing people and you will only want people. And trust me, this is the best thing you can do for someone, wanting them instead of needing them. And it's also the best thing you can do for yourself, because when you stop needing people, you stop settling and you stop accepting anything less than what you deserve. And you deserve the world, princess. And don't forget to keep loving and keep dreaming. This is Ruchika Srivastava signing off.